Now then.
Yeah, matey. How's it going?
Yeah, doing well. You?
Yeah, not so bad. Not so bad.
Yeah, I don't know why this isn't working for Tom, because this
it's great. It works for me when I log in like you do as well. It must be linked to his personal Facebook account rather than the Manchester is Blue page. It must be something that's wrong with his account.
Yeah.
Personally, because like I say, it works for me. If I try and go live from it, it works as well. So
yeah, it's a funny thing because it did the same thing as it did last week. It wouldn't let me open it live through my Zoom account. So all I had to do was sign out of my personal Zoom account, and now it's working totally fine.
Yeah, it is strange.
Here we go.
We're in, boys. All right.
So we have two Tom Brooks and a Tom Young.
We have 3 Toms there. Not bad.
The dodgiest musketeer outfit you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of seconds, lads. I'm just getting some stuff I've saved to talk about.
Yeah, no worries.
Like I say, I'll chat with you for the first 10-15 minutes, and then Pep's Marseille conference is at 6:30, so I'm gonna have to jump into that to see what's going on there. And then we'll stick some stuff on the page once that's all done.
Sweet as a nut, mate. Yeah, good stuff. Well done with all this, Tom. I'm very, very. I know we don't know each other very well, but having anything associated with what you're doing, mate, I'm incredibly proud to know you and the journey you're going on in your career. I think you've. I think it's a
absolutely amazing
box for you.
Nice one, mate. I really appreciate that. Yeah, like I say, I'm just trying to do as much as I can. I'm hoping that I'll be in. I've been confirmed for Olympiacos for next week, so that's good.
Are you starting, mate?
At this rate, probably. But yeah, I've been confirmed for that, and then I should hear on Wednesday if I'm in for Sheffield United on Saturday, which would be good. But I'm not sure what the press numbers there are like. I can't imagine they have a massive press area there, but fingers crossed. Anyway, I'll be able to definitely do some stuff from Olympiacos, and then potentially from Sheffield on Saturday lunchtime would be cool.
Do you know what, mate? We might mention that on the show in a minute. Right, how long we got you for, Tom? 10-15 minutes, did you say?
Yeah. The press conference at 6:30.
I think we'll be done in 30 minutes, don't you, today?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's rock and roll. Shall I lead the way?
So you want me to go live?
Yeah, do it. Let's fucking.
All right.
Let's have a bit of it.
Sec. Manage. Manchester is blue. Come on. All right, it's preparing it now. Bear with me a sec.
Super duper.
Come on. All right, title.
Shit shower. Anything you like?
Yeah.
Oh, it weren't the best, was it?
What about City Hammered?
Oh, I like that. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Oh, it weren't good, was it? It weren't
No.
good at all.
Disappointed.
The first half, especially. Second half, we picked up a little bit, but never really looked like we were going to win the game, did we?
Okay, we should be live.
Have a look on the old Facebook.
Yep. Welcome to the Manchester is Blue show, everybody. We are live on Facebook for the first time in what feels like a while for myself. How is everybody? Hope you're all right. How are you two doing, lads? You okay?
Yeah, as good as we can be at the minute with the way things are going.
Yeah, I've got a smile on my face. However, my heart is not really feeling it at the moment, and it's a bit hard. We still can't play that whole "woe is me" card at the moment. But as a fan of any club, when you lose and you're a bit of a downward spiral of form compared to what we have done in previous years, it's very hard to stay really motivated to the level that we have done. Dave, give us your brief analogy. I say brief in the nicest possible way. Your brief thoughts on the West Ham game and where we go. Dave,
number one, really surprised we kept with exactly the same team. Really, particularly based on that first half performance. Anyway, against Porto earlier in the week, it wasn't working. We didn't play well. Yeah, we got the result. So I was stunned that we kept with the same team. Number one. Number two, we were just hopeless again, as Tom's just said, particularly the first half again. Now we've got more injuries as well. I mean, I can't take really anything out of the game apart from Foden played well when he came on, and he obviously got the goal and he looks lively. And as someone put it out in the group chat, he seemed to be the only one after the game who was bloody annoyed and passionate about what's going wrong at City at the moment. So we've got the players, even with all the injuries, I still feel we've got a very, very strong squad. And we just can't get there at the moment. And it's frustrating me.
So as I'm looking on this now, as I'll try and put my neutral head on for the moment, even though I'm anything but a neutral with the wall behind me. This is the worst start Pep has had to a league season in 12 years. Okay. And before this game, there was already question marks about tactical approach, player fatigue, questionable injuries in the squad, Pep missing a number 2, which I still think he is.
Yeah.
And the questionable tactics or players he's been playing in positions like the Stones and Garcia. The Garcia pick is one I just can't comprehend at the moment. Tom, what's your thoughts with how things are going from the West Ham game and how things are getting to where they are now?
Yeah, sort of obviously similar to what you just said. I think I'm one of the most optimistic Man City fans you'll meet. I always fancy us to do well at the start of every season, and it was no different at the start of this season. I thought we really would bounce back, sort of kick on from the disappointment of last season and essentially win the title. But I know we're only 4 or 5 games in, but I just don't see how we're going to be at the top of the league come the end of the season if things don't change. Like we have been horrendously unfortunate with injuries. Like we say, whether that's something going on with issues in training, are we training wrong? We seem to have a lot of muscular injuries, which just you do have to question, is that something that's going on the training ground? The Garcia thing, I agree with you completely. I don't understand why we're so hell-bent on trying to, like, what did Pep say, seduce him to stay or something like this? And it's like, if he doesn't want to be here, he's openly said he wants to go. We've got John Stones, who he wasn't bad against Wolves when he played first game of the season. And whenever he's given the opportunity, he's never said a bad word about the club. He's never said he wants to leave the club. He's never come out and said anything against Pep Guardiola or anyone, despite the fact he's not getting much game time. And when he does play, he seems to play okay. So I don't understand how he's not getting a look in at the minute. As well as I think I've seen it posted a few places. Does Mahrez have dodgy pictures of Pep or something? And I'm starting to think it has to be the case, because how he keeps getting minutes is beyond me. I mean, with the exception of that goal against Leicester, which was a very good goal, he's so one-dimensional. Every time he gets the ball, you know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to do a couple of step-overs and look to shoot at the near post. I think I could count on one hand the amount of times I've seen him pass the ball this season. And it's like his chance in the last minute against West Ham that was saved onto the post. In reality, he should be looking to square that for Sterling, who has a tap-in, and instead, because it's Mahrez, he's going for the harder option of shooting. And I don't understand how he's still getting minutes. When you look at Ferran Torres, when he came on against Porto in the week, he looked like he changed the game, him and Foden, when they came on. Their energy, they sort of direct play, the link up between them two was pretty, like, really, really good to watch, and something that was really exciting to see. 2 youngsters really kicking on. And it baffles me how some of the substitutions at the weekend as well. Why were we bringing Zinchenko on? I mean, Cancelo was causing so many problems down that left-hand side. And then with 10 minutes to go, we bring Zinchenko on and stick Cancelo on the right, and he doesn't see any more of the ball for the rest of the game. While we've got Ferran Torres sat on the bench waiting to come on and make an impact. He don't even get the opportunity. So I'm not Pep out. I still believe that Pep is the man to take City forward, but I do seem to find myself questioning decisions he's making a hell of a lot more at the moment than I ever have done in the time he's been here. And again, like I say, some of the decisions at the weekend really did baffle me.
Yeah. We as fans, and the royal we, as in City, we need to be extremely careful over the next couple of months, because if Mahrez is going to continually getting played, and he gets the level of, I don't want to use the word abuse, but negative press. If he carries on getting that negative press, that is not going to do him or the club or us as a fan base any good whatsoever. Because Dave, I don't know if you, Tommy, you were around when I was talking about Mahrez being my one to watch for this season. I think this for me was Mahrez's season. I'm really looking forward to watching him play. And now it's kind of like, I feel a bit bad that he's playing at the minute. He's not having a great time at the moment. He tries to do one too many step overs. He's turning into Ozil. I don't want half of our fan base to like him and the other half to absolutely hate him. When we have won the league, we as a fan base and the club have been in one general positive direction, all with the same mentality, all with the same thoughts. Right, we'll go and win the league. We'll win it together. As soon as this cracks started appearing between players and fans, that's a downward spiral to nothing positive coming from our season whatsoever. So we need to be really careful about this. But on the upward side, City will not beat any team if 4 or 5 players do not turn up. If we have players in our team that don't turn up to win matches, whether that's Mahrez or whoever, we aren't going to win a game. And that's where we're falling down with at the moment. Dave, what if you had that old magic wand that I spoke about previously, what would you do to change things up a bit?
I mean, I said on the group chat earlier today, I think the club needs a full investigation. If I'm Khaldoon, I am bringing a team in to look at everything from the management to the coaching to the physios to the financials. This is stuck in my craw about how did the people in charge at City allow it to get to the stage where we were in front of UEFA and get in charge with a possible 2-year ban. I honestly think that club needs looking at from top to bottom, and I maintain that I think Manchester City football, CFG Group, have taken their eye off the ball. The golden nugget is Manchester City Football Club, and I think they've taken their eye off that, and it's become more about CFG now, and I think it's become more about what's the next club that we can buy to be this global conglomerate. And I think we've taken the eye off the ball, and I think Tixi, I think, everyone who's in, Serrano, I think all of them are basically paying Khaldoon lip service and telling what I think he wants to hear. But why are we, I was on some Twitter feed at the weekend. Why, someone's talking about, well, what are we going to do about Pep? Why is Pep in the driving seat about whether he's going to sign a new contract or not? Why aren't Tixi? Why aren't Serrano? Why isn't anyone else involved trying to secure that now? Because my concern is we're going to get to the end of this season. It's going to be a poor season. Pep's going to turn around and go, hey, I'm not going. I'm not staying. And then we're in the position of, okay, who are we going to get? Who's going to come in instead of Pep? And I just feel that the club as a whole need to be looking at things now rather than waiting on answers from Pep or whoever else, or Messi, whether he's going to join us or not next summer. We need to make some decisions now, and we need to start looking at what's going on at the club. It's I hate to say falling apart, but things aren't right there from a variety of standpoints. The coaching, the tactics, the player power, the physio, the injuries that we're getting, the finances. Is Pep staying or is he leaving? There's there's just too much going on right now, and I want Khaldoon to be realizing that as well and going, shit, we need to do something here. I like investigate it, find out what's going on.
Can you see from the other side of the coin, Chris Lanes mentioned here, Tom, you said Pep won't be sacked because he's mates with the bosses. Remember what you said in the past, and I still stand by that, Chris. Pep won't be sacked. He won't be sacked, but he may leave under an agreement somewhere in the line. Pep won't be sacked. Pep Guardiola has done too much for this club to be sacked. To do that justice to him. Imagine if Pep Guardiola was sacked, what that says to other managers coming in. What he's done for our club, I think it'd be an absolute disgrace. However, he's the one that arranged the tactics. He's the one who picks the players. He's the one that motivates the team. And if he's lost that fire in his belly, what happens next? Or am I just thinking this too literally? You're thinking, right, well, it's all down to the manager. It's manager's fault. Or are we just looking at this season thinking this season is going to be absolutely bonkers for a lot of clubs, not just City? Am I just taking it to heart because it's City and I want us to do better? Because I genuinely think anybody can win the league this year just because of how things are going.
But should it be bonkers, Tom? I kind of understand that, particularly with clubs in lower leagues. I get it, but we have some of the best players in the world. We have, on paper, the greatest coach in the world. We are one of the richest clubs in the world. So why does it need to be bonkers for Manchester City? This should be an absolute opportunity for us, where other clubs are in a little bit of disarray with everything that's happening in the world right now. Well, we should be totally fine.
We should be, but let's. I agree with you. That's fine. But devil's advocate in me says, look at the lack of pre-season, the fatigue the players have coming in. Players, I've wrote a list down here. If you don't mind me reading this out, the players that we've had injured this season: Aguero twice, Jesus, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Zinchenko, Cancelo, Mendy, Ake now. We've had Gundogan and Laporte out through COVID, and Raheem Sterling's had a minor injury. They're all key players within that team. When any team in the country that misses those types of players within their squad is going to suffer with this. Are we as City fans just expecting too much?
I mean, from my perspective, and I've said this for many years now, if this is the case, why aren't we using our academy players? I don't mind this season if we don't win anything, but let's give some of our younger players some experience, the Braffs and the Taylor Howard-Bellises, the Doyles, etc. I wouldn't mind finishing 8th or something like that.
Dave, just to cut in, mate. Tom, you've got a job to do, mate. Manchester Blue reporter going to press conference.
I tried to sneak out, not to disturb the flow, but yeah.
Don't you worry, mate. You crack on. I'll have a good one. Report back later.
The presser, yeah. I'll let you know what's going on once I've heard from the man.
Cheers, Tom.
See you later.
Just so people are aware, Tom's got an opportunity where with his career at the moment to really advance in the press world, and he's lucky enough to be invited in on the pressers with Pep Guardiola. So he's our man in the know at the moment. Sorry to interrupt you, Dave. You crack on, pal.
No worries. So it's quite obvious, again, Pep played Aguero, obviously wasn't fit, didn't play well against Porto, came off at half-time, plays against West Ham and is now injured. For me, this is crying out for some of our younger players, our academy players, to be given that opportunity to play, rather than continuing to play players who obviously aren't fit. As a Manchester City fan for 4+ decades now, I'm very much of the opinion that, well, let's just blood some of our youngsters in. Then if we're getting these results of drawing games or even losing, I don't think I mind as much, because at least then we've blooded some of our young players and we've given them some experience. Like, we don't have enough players right now, as you just read off that list. Sterling, Aguero, De Bruyne are injured, etc. Well, that's surely an opportunity to play some of our younger players and allow De Bruyne's, etc., to rehabilitate rather than rushing them back. And if results don't go our way, do I mind too much? No, because at least we've realised, okay, well, let's play some of our younger players in there. We've got Dal Halifax is going to join us now as well. I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening at the club right now with, well, let's just play the players who aren't even fit. And then we all get annoyed as fans that we don't get the result. They're not fit. So play your players who are fit or are passionate and young and have got, the Fodens, etc., who have got all that energy and can play 2-3 games a week.
Dan Halifax, how are we doing, my friend?
I've only got a quick 10 minutes before I've got to go to my gym class, so I thought I'd just quickly jump on. And
Jim, is that euphemism?
I agree with Dave. I think I agree to the point. Let's give some of them lads a try. Them ones that are knocking on the door. I thought the West Ham game were crying out for a bit more energy in that midfield, especially when Bernardo went off. I get why Pep made them subs he did. Walker's played a lot of minutes, so he needed to get him off. But honestly, I thought all the threats were coming down the left-hand side with Cancelo. We put him on to the right, and he just got none of the ball. It was just a waste of a substitution or tactical, whatever you want to call it. But I think I agree with Dave. I think give these young lads a bit of a run of games this season. But I don't think we should be writing the season off 5 games in. Right? I don't want to be that dickhead that says, well, if we win this game in hand, we're 2 points off top. It's 5 games in. We're not talking about being 2 points off top at Christmas. It's a completely different kettle of fish. And all the big teams are struggling. And I definitely think like the Villas, possibly Everton, definitely Leeds, they're all going to burn the sun out come Christmas. 100%. And I think that's when the bigger teams like us, the bin dippers and that's when our season will start kicking on and it'll separate men from boys. Don't know what you think of that.
Certainly hope so, pal. I just think we just need. I think we just need a stable couple of months where we're playing well. We need a solid run up to Christmas. Dan, do you know what, mate? I'm right behind you. I will back City in any fight, just because of the players we've got and the manager we've got. Put us down all you want to the opposition. I'd say put us down as much as you like. Cause that when it's. I love it when other players, other clubs, other fans say we're not going to win the league. It's the best motivation I have to hear that to support City even more. And it's kind of right in the half-time speech for Pep as well, because he'll know what's going on in the moment. I back City to win the league over anybody, but I just want to see that consistent City that we know and love. And the problem is there's so many games. I don't want to be that we're a victim of our own success type. We've got a game every 3 days coming up, and it's not good for us, is it, at the minute?
No.
No.
Exactly that, right? And I actually saw a post about this the other day, and it was about Leeds. So Leeds are 3-0 up against Villa. It's 95th minute. Both fullbacks, all the midfield are bombing up to try and score in the last minute, right? It's a long season with games every 3 days. I know Leeds aren't every 3 days, but they're going to see what an action-packed Premier League season is like. Do you know what I mean? They're probably going to want to do well at Cups. You need to be reserving some energy. And I know we get it all the time. All the professional footballers, human body can only do so much. The training, the playing, it takes a lot mentally and physically to be a Premier League footballer at this level. So you can't just slate them for being unfit. It's just how this season's going. But I've seen it myself. I'm interested to know, are you to Pep out in any way?
No.
Dave?
I would like someone new in at the end of this season. I want to give Pep this season, but I honestly think that we saw the start of this last season. I think he's out of ideas. I think now that his philosophy and his way of playing the beautiful game has somewhat been found out, the pass it into the back of the net, possession football. I think after 3 seasons at City, I think it basically got found out.
Mm.
And
Do
I
you know
think
what?
he struggled.
You're spot on there. If anyone's surprised about the way we're playing now, they weren't paying attention last season.
Yep.
Because this has been the way things are running in now. This isn't new. This isn't like, oh my God, 5 games in, why are we playing like this? Panic stations. This has been a sequence of months leading up to this, without a proper pre-season, the break in COVID, everything that's come with that. And this is why I want to get the normality back in before I judge whether Pep should be going or somebody else should be coming in. Because I kind of want us to have a full proper season, if that makes sense, where you get the pre-season, the games, we fly off to America, everything. And I realise that's not going to happen, but that's not going to happen for a load of other clubs. But what's happening at the minute isn't new. This is stemmed from not having a replacement for Company, not have a proper replacement for David Silva. I love Phil Foden, but he's no David Silva. It's someone that can control the game, etc. And it's all this has been happening for months, six plus months. It's not like a recent thing. This.
Go on, Dave.
It's for me. It's this season. We're still going to have those games where we absolutely take a team apart, and it will be 5-6-0. I guarantee it. We're still going to see that, but it's just for me, and I've said it for the longest time, that Pep has his philosophy, and I totally get that, and it worked certainly for 2 seasons incredibly well. And there was pieces of last season where again we blew teams away, but we have been found out. And what I want to see from Pep is he willing to take on board that the same tactics every game is not working? The pass, the no real striker. You know, he has 4 not strikers. And I don't think he's that coach. I don't think he's going to ever change his philosophy. So what I'm saying is, I think he could go at the end of the season, we shake hands, Pep, thank you very much for everything. And let's bring in a coach with the same set of players who's maybe just got some new ideas to bring about how we approach and how we play the game. Because we're very one-dimensional. Even though it's very nice to watch, it's very one-dimensional. And you know that these seasoned managers like, Mourinho and Dijk, Klopp, they know what to expect. They know how we're going to set up, and they know how to beat us. I just think it's time after 5 years to bring a new belief system in. And I want to give Pep this year to see if he cottons onto that and thinks of something else to do. Does he try and bring in Haaland in January, or a big striker, and let's try and get the balls into the box rather than passing it into the goal every time. That's all I'm saying.
Go on, Dan.
Just think, sorry, I'm going to wrap it up here. I always think the grass ain't always greener.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right? I do get what you're saying, but I like the way we play, personally. I like watching it, right? Do I want to be a team that's whipping balls into box all the time, like a Man United or a Burnley? No. I want the build-up play and then the balls in. If we're struggling, I get that. And I just think we didn't improve. We didn't buy the players we should have bought last season, right? We've sort of been a season behind in our way of buying players. We should have been buying a striker and centre-back last season. Then this season, an attacking midfielder and maybe like a left-back. And we've just been unlucky that players we've bought haven't lived up to the like what they should have. Look like Mendy. Like Mendy looked like a beast, but he's just not lived up to his what he was going to be. Laporte injured again. It's just not been gelling for us. But I think if we get rid of Pep mid-season, we're daft because we're writing the season off. Anything can happen in these next 30 games. Villa beating fucking Dippers 7-2. Who saw that coming? Anything is going to happen. And like I say, I think we just ride this season out, like Dave said. Blooding Delap, Nemacha, give him a bit of a chance. I'm not saying drop Rodri. He's played shit last week. Drop him straight away. Give him 10 minutes. Just give them 10 minutes here and there. Let's blood them in and see how they get going. But
Well said, man.
I'm going to have to get off though, lads. So I'll see you later.
Enjoy Zumba.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
See you.
See you later. Just a couple of messages from people on Facebook. Jake Papas, how you doing, Jacob? You well, pal? City stopped playing with width. Did you see Sane this weekend? Oh, he looked good, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did he look good? And Mahrez cutting in too much. Are we cutting in too much? Do you think width's a major problem? We're not whipping in the balls anymore. So,
It is because this is these 3 forward players rather than out and out wingers. This is what Tom said, and this is what Dan said as well. That game was crying out for Torres against West Ham, who is a winger by trade, and we're more of, we don't play with a striker, we play with forward players. So yeah, I completely agree with that comment.
Just a comment from Stuart Brides. Hope you're well, Stuart. Thanks for commenting. What are you lot talking about? That's always a good way to start a message.
Here we go.
Aren't Garcia and Foden young players? I'm assuming he's referring to the comments about why aren't we playing more young players. Problem is Pep, he has bought 3 goalkeepers, God knows how many centre-halves. While he hasn't solved the biggest issue, only 1 centre-forward. Pep's signings have weakened the squad. Well, I know a few people that would. Another Tom Brunt. Hiya, Chris. You all right, pal?
Hold on, I'm dark.
Chris, we've got a message from one of the fans. Here, message from Stuart Brides. Pep signings have weakened the squad. We've brought in 3 goalkeepers, too many centre halves that aren't doing the job, and only 1 centre forward. What do you think about that, pal?
I don't think it's any mystery what my opinion on the signings have been. I think they've been shocking, and I mean, to be honest, even if we go back to like Mancini and Pellegrini, those 2 had a pattern. The first season, the signings were perfect. They won the league, and then the following season, they were just crap. There was no pro. We just went backwards. And Pep's done the same. I'm not being funny. Why is Scott Carson? I don't care whether he's on loan or bought. Why is he even in the squad? And you can't say it's just to fill a hole, because any useless sack of shit with a pair of gloves on could fill that spot. He's never going to get in the team. He's not exactly going to bring anything to any of the players. Half the youth players will be better than he is. He just seems pointless. And I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen The Dark Knight, the Batman film.
Yeah.
I basically feel like Alfred in that. Because I've been saying now, the season where Pep won the 2nd title, when we pipped Liverpool to it, there was signs that season that we had been found out, and I've been saying it since then. There've been things I've been picking up on. We've not improved, and there will come a day when I'll just be able to say, "I told you so." And when that day comes, I don't want to. This season for me, it's a nothing season. We're not going to win out, and I'm not enjoying it because I can see things. I can see where the problems are. The game at weekend. If any other manager in Europe or in the world set the team up like they did, it's listed as 2 defensive midfielders or 2 holding midfielders. Pep does it, and everyone turns around and calls it a double pivot. And it's just, there just doesn't seem to be imagination. Every City fan sat there knows we need a new striker. Aguero's reaching the end of it. Jesus isn't an out-and-out striker, and he won't trust the youth. Doesn't matter how many times we've said about Delap. I mean, he scores on his debut, hits the bar against Leicester. He's not been given a chance since.
Exactly.
Every City fan knows it. Everybody knows it, apart from Pep. And I mean, I've said it in the comments. People blame Mahrez, at weekend, he's greedy, which, name a City fan who doesn't know Mahrez is greedy. Everyone said, they can blame the subs, they can blame Garcia, they can blame whatever. Injuries. Pep picks the team. Pep sorts out the training sessions. Pep picks the substitutions and says when they're coming on. We've said it before. No one's against criticism. No one's immune from that. No one's immune from the sack. But we've already said it. He's not going to get sacked. Which, like I said, at this point, he shouldn't. What's the point in sacking him now? At this point, even he could literally lose every single game 4-0 up until Christmas. There'd be no point in sacking him. I think this season we just need to. I think it is literally just a case of like Dave said, get a proper investigation into the club and sort it out.
Pete Birch replied saying, if all the players were fit, it'd be a different story. We have to ride the storm and get off Pep's back.
I disagree. I totally disagree. The way that Pep sets up his team, whether we have our first starting 11 with Aguero and De Bruyne and Diaz and Laporte, the way that we approach and play the game has been found out. It's nothing to do with the players. It's the way that we actually play the game. And without a striker, to Chris's point, the reason Mahrez is greedy, the reason Sterling is greedy, etc., is they have to be, because they can't look up and put the ball into the box because there's no one there, like a Haaland or a Cavani or whatever you want to say, to actually knob that ball in or hit it, tap it in from 6 yards. So they have to. What are they supposed to do? They have to take the shot. There's nothing else to do.
And there's a lot to be said where, you know, that when Pep sends those players out, they've got certain instructions, and you can't tell me that Mahrez hasn't been told, have a dig. You see the white that keeper's eyes, have a dig, because he has that. We've seen that consistency from him shooting for a long time now. If Pep would have told him not to, he would have stopped it by now. So he must be having a word in his ear saying, "Go on, have a go, have a bit of freedom to shoot."
Exactly. It's the fact that Pep's telling those players what to do. The way that we approach the game and play the game has been found out. It is beautiful to watch. But do we want beautiful football or do we want to win games? And we're a club now who wants to win games, not just play pretty football. And unless Pep is willing to change a little bit and understand that, you know what, there's more than one way to win a game and there's more than one way to actually play the game, we're never going to get anywhere. We're going to lose more games at home to Leicester 5-2 and only get a draw away from home to West Ham, because we're playing the game exactly the same way, week in, week out, and everyone knows what's going to happen.
Spot on. Jake Papas, yes, he really did say Cavani. Yeah, Dave's been talking about getting Cavani before he went to United, and I think what he says Cavani, I think he's talking about the big central striker, somebody who can put the ball in the net, which we've been desperate about for ages.
A big fella. Dzeko. Does that make it? Dzeko has now scored more goals for Roma than he has for Manchester City. What the hell did we sell him for? Like, we are crying out for a player like Dzeko. Can you imagine how many goals Dzeko would score in this team with De Bruyne and Torres or Mahrez banging that ball in to the box for him? It'd be 30, 40 goals, in my opinion, easy.
Chris, here's a point to you. Stuart Brides, Barcelona never had a tall centre forward. They won a thing or two.
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to say to what Dave was saying then about the it needs to change something like that. The style of football doesn't necessarily need to change. You know, if you've got the players and you've got a method that works, it's up to everybody else to stop you. They found us out, but again, we haven't even got a striker at the minute. So where, you know, you've got Mahrez having a dig from wherever, and you've got Sterling having a dig. Well, okay, so they've had a shot. Keeper spills it. There's no one there to tap it. There's no poacher. There's no goal scorer to put the ball in the net, and that's what we're missing. And against West Ham, people say about injuries. You had Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden sat on their asses on the bench, and like we were all saying it on the watch along, they need to be on. And when they came on, it was a different ball game. You know, we were looked more competent, and that's it. If you're setting up with Gundogan and bloody Rodri in midfield, you've no hope, because Rodri is a defensive player, and Gundogan, for all his passing ability, he's about as fast as I am when somebody says there's a free salad bar. It's nonsense. The formation can work. The formation, he's proven it can work, but you need the players to be able to do it. You couldn't give that formation to Rotherham United and let them try it out in League One or whatever, because they haven't got the players to pull it off. And at the minute, City don't. We've got a few good players. The rest are shite. I'm sorry. Mahrez is shite. Gundogan is not a Premier League player. He's all right in Europe, but that's it. And then again, if you're going to have Pep playing average players over some of his best ones who are sat on the bench and other ones are all injured, you're not going to get anywhere. But the problem is you're not going to score goals unless you have a proper striker. You can't rely on long shots.
We've got Marseille tomorrow night, haven't we?
I'm worried about tomorrow.
You're working. What team would you play for that?
Of what we've got available,
yeah,
I'd have Edison in goal.
Oh, hello, you woke up there. Yeah.
Back four, I would have Cancelo on left. Laporte, is he back fit now? Yeah.
He's travelled with the squad.
Because I know Aki's not. So I'd have Laporte and Diaz and Walker. That's my back four. I'd have Fernandinho. Oh no, he's now out injured. So it'd have to be Gundogan as the holding midfielder. I'd have Foden and KDB in the middle. Torres and Sterling out wide. And I'd have Delap up top.
And that's the team I'd like to watch. Yeah.
There you go. That's all you need. You've got two players that can go forward while Gundogan plays what I like to call that Pirlo kind of role. He's great. He can find a pass. He doesn't have to run because he's lazy. He can just sit there and spray the passes out because Marseille aren't going to do anything but defend and hit on the counter. So it's not as if he's going to have to put masses of tackles in. Just dictate the game. Keep hold of the ball. Make them bloody run. Make them work.
Yeah.
I don't want the same crap as what we played against Leon.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, Chris. That's probably and it's not going to happen, but that's what I would be doing as well. We need to play our game.
That's the worrying thing.
With that. I mean, my question is really for you two. Do you think this is all about the Champions League for Pep this season? That it wouldn't surprise me if we're playing poorly in the Premier League, but we go to a strong French club, i.e. Marseille, away from home, and we beat them. And you do see this occasionally where a team will struggle in their country's league, but then do well in the Champions League. And this could be it. We could be moaning and groaning and get to a final or semi-final of a Champions League with this squad. I've got something niggling at me that's saying to me that this is Pep's last throw of the dice for Champions League with a team outside of Barcelona, and he's putting all of his eggs in this basket to try and win this, because that was his goal when he signed for Manchester City, right? I think that was his objective. Yeah. It was said, no, we want you to win the Champions League, and he's not done that. He's going to put out the strongest team he's got available, even if they're not even 100% fit, I think, in the Champions League.
I think it's always been about the Champions League for Pep, though. I mean, he was brought here to do that. He said if he doesn't win the Champions League with City, he'll be a failure. And I mean, he does really well in the group phases, but it's like watching American Pie. It's about getting the end result, and when he gets close, he just overthinks it and balls it up. Oh, Tom Brunt.
Yeah, we're all Tom Brunt tonight.
One shy of a five-a-side team here, aren't we? Yes. I need to stop giving out my password.
Big balls too many, lads. I'm going to have to shoot off.
That's on Chris. See you soon, pal.
Take care, guys.
See you later. I've just had somebody mention, Peter Burt's mentioned that Delap's not with the squad for tomorrow. I need to double check that, Peter. Is that right?
You know what? I don't think he is, because he played at the weekend, didn't he, in the EDS? He scored 2 goals, I think. Did they beat Chelsea or something 4-1?
Not sure. I didn't follow it, pal, to be honest.
Yeah, I think and I know Delap scored, but this is what it comes down to. It's that if Delap's our best option right now, then that's what we've got to do. We didn't bring anyone in. And, going back to that comment about Barcelona didn't have a big striker. Well, no, they didn't, but they also had Lionel Messi. They also had Xavi and Iniesta, probably the 2 best midfield duo in the world. of all time, and they had Piqué and Puyol, arguably the best centre-back pairing, of this generation at the back. Of course they were going to win things. City don't have any of that. We've got very good players, but we're not at that Barcelona level of when Guardiola managed them. It's as simple as that.
Dan, I'm going to introduce you in a second, but I just need to bring a message up from Isse Ibrahim, and I'm genuinely hoping this is a joke. Why not bring Ozil from Arsenal during January? He can do some of the David Silva things. Do you please never mention David Silva and Ozil's name in the same sentence ever again? Please. My God.
You have seen that Real Sociedad are top of La Liga as well, right?
David Silva got 2 assists at the weekend as well in a 4-1 victory for Sociedad. However, that is the only game he's played well in. The previous 4, I think, he's been atrocious.
But I guarantee you, Dan, it'll be an influence though, right? You've got, an older player who's won everything, in England, and at national level, he's won European Championship twice. He's won the World Cup. You get that kind of thing in the dressing room. That's what you and I have been talking about over and over again, about getting a Bonucci in or something like that, of just someone who has a presence in the dressing room. And that's what Silva's brought to Real Sociedad. Like, fair play to them. I hope they get a Champions League spot this season. I really do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Dan, how we doing, pal? We all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Been one of them days where I thought, you lads are talking football, why not join in? Need to get talking about footy, don't we?
It makes you feel better.
It's good to talk, pal. It's good to talk. We've kind of brushed on the where we're up to with Pep and the squad and the thoughts of the West Ham game. So I'm looking to you for a bit of positivity going into this Marseille game. Obviously, we've got Riyad Mahrez, who's on everyone's lips, and Riyad Mahrez is actually sitting on the press conference tonight with Pep. So guaranteed to be starting tomorrow night. Is he going to win the game for us tomorrow, Dan?
Well, going on the back of a few performances of recent weeks, no. He's you've got to think, Ferran Torres, I did a weekly roundup yesterday, and I was saying Ferran Torres played brilliantly against Porto. Why didn't he start against West Ham? Yeah. As much as Pep loves Mahrez, Mahrez on his day is unplayable. He's brilliant on his day. But this is a City team in this era of football where we are a team, we base the squad around the team play. It's not one man anymore. We used to rely on Sergio Aguero to get the goals. That's not the case anymore. We used to rely on Vinny looking after our defence. That's not the case anymore. Now the wingers as well. And Mahrez is not a team player. He really is not a team player. Like I said, on his day, he's brilliant. But if you're going to have someone like Ferran Torres, who's playing very well in the previous game, alongside Phil Foden, who also is playing much better in the past couple of games, why not keep those two playing regular football together? Phil Foden came on and changed the game against West Ham. Bring on his teammate Ferran Torres, who they seem to have a good link up with each other, and Mahrez was left on. Mahrez had an awful game against West Ham. But I said in that live, who are we to question the mighty Pep Guardiola?
And just bring your microphone away from your zipper, mate. It just sounds a bit crackly in the background.
Do apologise.
No, I completely agree. And so, what are you going to go for? Give us a score prediction for tomorrow, then, Dan?
We're at Marseille, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a bit more normal-headed about my predictions now, so I'm going to go for 4-1.
4-1. I've got one more question for you, Dan, before you go. This is from Jake Papas, who's on the live. Hey, Jake, how are you doing? Well, pal. What are your thoughts on Pep staying, as the board will keep him just to get Messi to come? Obviously, you're a massive Messi in fan, aren't you? Just so everyone knows, Dan's not the biggest fan of Messi coming to City. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this.
Well, I think it was Dave, I think it was Tom actually, who mentioned it. If it means Sergio Aguero stays, then fine. That's providing he's fit and match ready. If Sergio Aguero is going to be in and out of these games this season, left, right, and centre, then that adds to my whole point about him not staying. But I don't want Pep staying just because of one player. If Pep stays, it's for the club, for the fans and for the whole team, not just based on Messi. Messi coming to City looks more likely by the minute. His contract is still up and there's been no breakthrough on negotiations. He still wants to leave. And, go back to my point, if Pep's only staying because of Messi, then both of them can do one as far as I'm aware. As much as Pep's won us for City, I don't want it to just be about one player. He's got a world-class squad. Fix that first before you bring in Messi. As much as anyone's saying, it's Pep Guardiola, he's won trophy after trophy, he's done things managers can't ever do. This is Pep's toughest ever managerial season now. He has to rebuild City, and it is not on the back of bringing Lionel Messi to City. He wants to go through each position, strengthen with a backup player for every position, as well as a first team. We know a striker is key in the next transfer window or next summer transfer window. We know a left back's key. If those problems aren't fixed before we bring Lionel Messi in, he needs to go, including our transfer background staff.
I want Messi. I want him from a commercial business point of view. I want him from a shirt sales point of view. I want Messi because he's a brilliant player that I want to see in our squad. He is, however, and has to be the cherry on a really nice cake. He can't be the cake. We have to have a solid backbone of a squad before we bring a player like Messi in, because he could come in and do another, not Trevor Francis, Rod. It was Rodney Marsh. Rodney Marsh came in from a potential championship winning team and scuppered our chances with all the pomp and everything that came with him. Messi, what, Dan, I'm right with you there, pal. We need the backbone fixing before we actually can start running. So we're going to have a chat with Tom Young, fresh from the oppressor with Pep. How is he?
Yeah, he's still the same as he's been all season. Very, very straight-faced. Very
not smiled tonight, then.
Not an awful lot of smiles. To be honest, it was Mahrez was the player that they brought in tonight, and he never really gives an awful lot in press conferences. I'm not sure it's his cup of tea, really chatting. He was only asked a couple of questions, sort of about De Bruyne being back and how much of a boost De Bruyne is and things like that. And you can imagine what sort of response you got from that. And then Pep was more going on. The majority of the questions were probably unsurprisingly about Aguero and about how long he'll be out for, and he was sort of cautious to give any sort of time frame on that. He was asked about whether or not his injuries are going to be taken into consideration when the club look at offering him a new contract. And again, he distanced himself from that. He said that's not his sort of lookout. But obviously that's something that we've spoke about, Aguero being fit and things like that. So that's obviously something that's being picked up on.
Can I just interrupt you there? Sorry, did you say somebody asked him the question, would Pep's consider a contract if he say that again about
with Aguero's contract extension? They were asking Pep, is that going to be taken into consideration? Sorry, I should have phrased that better. When looking at offering Aguero a new contract, and Pep just kind of said, that's not to do with me. That's other people sort of who deal with the contracts. So that's not. He says they needed to be 48 hours in a day if they wanted me to deal with that stuff or something like that. So, and then a couple of the French journalists were talking about Marseille's counter-attacking and the way they play football, which I don't watch much Liga and I wouldn't know how Marseille play. But from what was being pitched to Pep from the French journalists in there, it sounds like they're the worst team for us, in that they just play direct counter-attacking football. And that is that something that sort of we're going to have to deal with? And obviously Pep just said yes, but that's obviously something that is interesting to hear, that they sound like they sort of play in a way sort of like a Leeds, in the fact that they have very quick wingers and they just sort of just come at you on the counter attack. So yeah, nothing majorly revolutionary to bring you, unfortunately, tonight. It wasn't the most glamorous of press conferences, but a couple of takeaways is just, obviously that Aguero's out and Pep will remain coy on how long that's for. And that Marseille are going to look to hit us on the counter attack tomorrow. Oh, I think he was asked as well about the two holding midfielders and why he's been so resolute with that this season, and he's just said that's the way he's seen the game so far this season. Sometimes he uses one holding midfielder, sometimes he uses two, and he just thinks that there's been more circumstances in which we needed two holding midfielders this season, and that's pretty much that.
That's a that right there is a real interesting response to me because he's not a defensive-minded coach. We all know that. He's a real forward-thinking. He wants to score more goals than the opposition. I'm really you expect, even though we deny it, you expect the Jose Mourinho to be playing the two defensive midfielders, not Pep Guardiola. That has stunned me, that comment, that he is looking at the game and thinking, yeah, I need two sitting in defensive midfield here, rather than freeing up that one midfielder, whoever that is, Gundogan or whoever, to actually get forward a little bit. That's really surprised me, Tom.
Has the Lyon defeat potentially knocked a bit of confidence in him then to think, right, well, I need to sort myself out when it comes to the defensive side before I look at anything else?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I always say, I always go back to that Monaco game about, was it his first full season with us? Well, we went there with a 2-goal advantage and we got turned over 3-1. And that night we started just Fernandinho in the defensive sort of sitting in front row. And then we had the 3 attacking midfielders. And I always said, why did we do that night? Why didn't we go out and sit with the 2 holding midfielders and just defend the 2-goal advantage that we had? And obviously we went out on away goals, as we do so often. But I don't know. I don't know if it's that, if it's sort of that reserved nature of, we don't have a great record in France either, so I'd be very surprised if we went with anything other than 2 holding midfielders tomorrow. And I don't know what it is about the way the French teams play football, but they seem to have Pep's number massively, because since he's been here, we've had Lyon obviously knock us out. They did us at our place in the Champions League in the group stage. We've had Monaco knock us out over 2 legs. We've not got a great record against these French teams, so it'll be a really difficult game tomorrow.
What's your gut feelings, Tom, on the game itself?
I'd take a draw. I'd take a draw. I'd take a really just sort of boring, nothing too extravagant. Just get out of there with a point and no injuries and get on to the next game. At the minute, it's obviously we want to win the first 4 games and top the group and be able to field the kids for 2 games. That's the ideal scenario. But in reality, avoiding getting beat and making sure that we're always in command of the group, for me, is the main thing now. And it's just avoiding any more injuries. We can't afford to lose any more players to injuries at the minute. And I think you said it earlier, Dave, and I mentioned it at the weekend. It surprised me so much that the first time in 3 years that Pep named the same starting 11 back to back is less than 3 full days after we played in the Champions League on a Wednesday night. And it's not like we played Saturday afternoon, had a week off, played Sunday lunchtime, and they'd had a full week off, and then we've given them the same team. We put the same team out, and it's that to do with the fact that he doesn't feel he has enough in his squad to be able to rotate the squad. Is that sort of an indirect aim at the board saying, look, I'm being forced to play this team that I don't want to play because we've got so many players out injured, or because we've not strengthened properly in the summer? Because we know that we were after more players than we got in the summer. And Pep can only do so much in that regard as to say, I want ABC coming to City, and now Tiki and Ferran, it's your job to go and sort that out. Is that what he's doing? Is he unhappy with the squad he's got? He'll never publicly say he's unhappy, but could that be a reason he's done it? Because we know Pep never names the same team back to back. So no. That's something you could look at as well. Is he unhappy with what's going on at the club? Is he unhappy with behind the scenes? It's obviously it's all a case of take it as you will, but that's something that could certainly be looked at, I think.
It's a really good point as well, because he won't be the first manager and he won't be the last manager to do that either.
For sure.
So it's a good shout. And this, honestly, Tom, this comes back to my point about I want Khaldoon to get a little bit more involved here and figure this out. Have a sit down meeting with Pep then and figure this out. Look, hey, this is surprising, Pep. You played your same team for the first time in 3 seasons. What's all that about? Like, lay it out. Khaldoon needs. I don't think Khaldoon is getting the bigger picture here of what exactly is going on with everything at MCFC. And I'm going to call it MCFC because I don't like the whole CFG thing. It's Manchester City Football Club as far as I'm concerned. And I think he needs to get his hands wrapped around what's going on there. And that means sitting down with Pep and getting a better understanding, Tom, to your point of what was going on there. Like, you play the same team, and then maybe Pep can say, you know what? I gave Tixie this freaking list of players who I wanted, who we needed for this club. and he came back with one right up against the transfer deadline, and that was it. Like there needs to be more discussion. There needs to be more communication, quite obviously at City to figure all of this out.
Do you think it's just Tixie that's responsible for this? Would it not be a whole team of 4 people that would be responsible for bringing new players in? They surely would have a working group that does that. It can't just be one person, can it?
I think this is Tixie. Yes, he probably has his scouts, etc. But this is down on him. He's the one who goes and does all the negotiations. You know, like he flew to Barcelona, right, when there was the chance of us getting Messi in the summer. Or like he was on the first plane out there. It is down to Tixie, and maybe it doesn't help in a way that he is a past professional and a very good player, albeit as well. But I think when you get that dynamic into it, that maybe Pep has his list and Tixie looks at it and goes, you know what, I watched him. No, I don't agree. And maybe he's not as vociferous in trying to get these players in because as an ex-professional himself, he doesn't see what Pep sees. I don't know.
Well, there's one thing I can pretty much guarantee is our November is going to be a hell of a roller coaster. We just need to start picking up points. We need to start picking up. We need the performances to come with it more than anything. I think we've mentioned it before, haven't we? We're not too bothered. We always been bothered about losing, but you know, if we go out gung ho and with a passion and a bit of drive and determination to go and win a match, 9 times out of 10 we'll win it. Because we've got the players behind us. It's just a bit of a frustrating time at the minute. Dan, what do you reckon for the next couple of matches, mate? Because we've got Liverpool round the corner.
Well, it's the same. It's a weird one because it's the same thing for every team. Obviously, for us, Liverpool, and the other clubs that are in Europe at the moment as well. The fixture lists are just every 3-4 games now, every days now, aren't there? And luckily, we're not the only ones in that boat. But at the same point, we've got injury after injury. And this will go, I'm pretty sure you probably already picked this live already, about our medical staff. It's not just the transfer things that Caldo needs to look into. He needs to look into the whole structure of City at the moment. In the past, go back 5-6 years ago, City were on top of everything. Transfer strategy was absolutely top-notch. Medicals, top-notch. Everything clicked. You know, you had a player out for a long-term injury. They came back, they got fit, and never heard of them being injured again. Right now, that's happening far too much at the moment. So going into these games, it's kind of like I just want this season to be over before it's begun, in essence, because I don't want any more injuries. You know, I honestly, as much as I'd be hurt, you know, if us losing games, I couldn't give a toss about the Champions League this year. It's an extra run of games for a competition none of us like. Can't stand it anyway. At me personally. League Cup, I know it's our cup. It's not the biggest of the two. I'd rather just concentrate on the Premier League and the FA Cup, space the games out as much as we can, build some fitness up, get this season. Even if we don't win any trophy this year, I won't put it down to Pep this year. You can't put it down to Pep this year because so many things in terms of injuries and fitness have just masqueraded this whole start to the season, you know, and the COVID players in and out, such as Gundogan and what have you. It's going to continue for the rest of the season. So going into these next games, there's no real focal point I could give you, really, whether I'm happy, excited or what. It's a very weird feeling, put it that way.
Yeah, so we've got next 4 games: Marseille, Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Olympiacos. And then obviously the 5th game is Liverpool.
Is the Sheffield United game away?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one. Sheffield United are a physical team.
Horrible, yeah.
12:30 on Saturday 31st.
And so Ryan Brewster will probably get his first goal for Sheffield United against City.
I think we're very close to wrapping this up, lads. Has anyone else got anything to add?
Yeah, I'd say to Dan that before you jumped on what I said, Dan, I kind of completely agree with what you're saying about this season. I think what I want to get as a fan, what I want to get out of this season is hopefully the younger players being given an opportunity to play. So they've got that experience for next season. I'm not personally that bothered if if we play our younger players, the Nemechas, Delap, Doyle, Howard Bellis, Braff's coming back from injury now. If these lads can get some game time and be a little bit more match ready for next season, that'd do it for me, to be perfectly honest, as long as we don't get relegated, which it's not going to happen. But that, for me, is the big opportunity this season. We're not going to win the Champions League. We're not good enough. But give these young lads the opportunity to play for City in the Cup, the final 10, 15 minutes of a Premier League game to get them ready, because that's our future.
Yeah. And to put it in perspective, what we were talking about earlier about whether Pep's maybe trying a hand at 60, saying, look, I'm low on players here. We've got an infrastructure in a youth academy that's above anybody else's in the world. We've had the players come through. We've had the Sanchos come through and wasted it, in essence, albeit it's through his toys out the pram because he don't play minutes. But a lot of them players are now going to be like Sancho. Look, if I'm not getting played this season, I know I'm never going to get played. Delap has to be a shoo-in at some point this season to play a good fixture of Premier League games or FA Cup games, or maybe even push into a little bit of a Champions League game. Jesus is still going to be out for a while. Aguero's going to be out for God knows how long now. Sterling can't do it on his own. He's the only player in that City team that you can think is close enough to scoring the goals that Aguero and Jesus combined can do. But he's still not good enough, albeit he was our top goal scorer last season. He can't do it alone. And if Pep continues to think he can do it alone, then there is something wrong with Pep as well, on top of everything, because, you've got striker crying out for minutes in the first team in our EDS. He's scoring goals for the EDS. He made a great contribution to the games when he played earlier on in the season. I think it was against Wolves, was it not? Or something like that. They're just chomping at the bit. That Felix Nemecha, Dan Halifax kept bigging him up, and I never really took notice of him, but I've watched a few games with him now on City TV. He could really make a name for himself in that City squad, but until they're given the chance, we're just going to see Sancho after Sancho in this youth academy, because the players are coming through, and if they're not coming through this season, then as much as I love the young players coming through, they might as well move to another club, because they're not going to get minutes under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, they're just going to do another Jack Harrison.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Before we go, myself and the other Manchester Blue team would like to pay tribute to former academy player Jeremy Whiston, who tragically took his own life at the age of 17 years old. I'm sure it's obvious to say our thoughts and feelings go out to all the friends and family and everyone associated with Jeremy, especially in the South Manchester community where he lived for some time. If you need to talk to anybody, the best people you can speak to are the Samaritans on 116 123. Free phone number 116 123. Of course, we've mentioned this previously during COVID over the last couple of months, but if you don't want to talk to them and you want to talk to somebody just about absolutely anything, including football, obviously, drop myself or any of the admins a message on the Facebook page. We'll be glad to have a chat with you at some point, and when all this is over, make up for a brew if you need to. But yeah, thoughts go out to Jeremy Whiston and his family and friends. And listen, Blues, let's have a think about that. And don't forget, there's always somebody to talk to if you need to. That number again for the Samaritans is 116 123. Right, Blues, big game tomorrow night. Every game's a big game. You know that from my point. I'm feeling positive. Dave, give us your score prediction before we go.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tom Young on that. I think I'm going to go score draw. And if we leave an away game with a French club 1-1, and no injuries, I'll take that all day long. 1-1.
It's 1-1. And Dan, what did you say? How was it? 4-1?
4-1, yeah, mate. Yeah.
4-1. And you know, from my point of view, I don't do predictions. You're not having one from me. But we might do a live tomorrow night. Let's see how we're feeling, shall we? Are you up for that, Dan? Are you up for a live tomorrow night?
Yeah, I need to make up for the weekend, don't I?
Come on, let's have a live. Fantastic. Right, have a lovely evening, Blues. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, and we'll speak to you soon.
Take care, everyone.
All the best.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.